What's up guys, welcome to Chasing Folklore. I am George Martinez, and continuing the theme about monsters, today we're gonna be talking about the truth behind werewolves. So get yourselves a snack, I hope you enjoy, and this story, I'm just gonna tell you before you even start it, that it's gonna be actually really creepy. There's a lot of crazy history about werewolves, so get ready. Werewolves are some of the creepiest and horrifying monsters in all of folklore, and they are right up there with the vampires. If you guys want to know more about vampires, and specifically the American vampire, I actually did a video not too long ago about the American vampire, and I'll put it down below so you guys can click on it. In the case of werewolves, most of us believe that they are monsters who happen to be cursed, that they only transform during the full moon, and they can only be killed by silver. However, legends of werewolves paint a completely different picture. Werewolves do not necessarily need a full moon to actually turn into a werewolf, and they are not necessarily cursed. What is known is that no matter where you find a legend of a werewolf, they all share the characteristic of being vicious animals who kill both animals and humans alike. One of the strangest things is that werewolves have been seen by different cultures separated by continents. In America, Native Americans believed that powerful men could transform into wolves and cause harm. In Iceland and in Norway, there are legends of magic pelts that could turn its wearer into a wolf and cause harm. I'm sure that you have heard of the term lycanthropy, since it's always associated with werewolves. But where is this term, where does it come from? Well, according to Greek mythology, the king of Acadia, Lycaon, became obsessed with pleasing the gods. He saw that his nation and his empire was in ruin, and he believed that if he could please the gods and do things for the gods, then they would bless his whole empire. Lycaon decided to build a temple for Zeus, and then Zeus, after seeing this temple, he was actually happy with Lycaon and actually blessed the kingdom. Lycaon then took things a bit too far, actually extremely far, and he started conducting human sacrifices thinking it would please the gods. But at that time, practically everyone knew that the gods did not like human sacrifices. It was actually condemned. So what happened was that Zeus heard that Lycaon was conducting these human sacrifices, but he didn't want to believe it. He didn't think it was real. So he decided to come down from Olympus and actually turn into a man and go see Lycaon, go into his empire. It is said that he entered the castle gates and that he was greeted with oppression. He was actually captured. However, Lycaon was a little suspicious of the man that Zeus turned into. The man seemed to be fearless. He wasn't afraid of being put to death or just being in chains or anything whatsoever. Lycaon began to believe that the gods might have sent this man as a test of his hospitality. So what he decided to do was that he threw a feast, and this is like the strangest thing that happened. He threw a feast, and in this feast, he actually cooked up human flesh and served it to Zeus. Zeus found out about what he was eating, the flesh of humans, and he grew extremely angry. He was so angry that he actually cursed Lycaon and turned him into a horrible monster that was half man, half wolf. Most people believe that Zeus turned Lycaon into a werewolf so that he could actually show exactly how he looked like from the inside. If he was a monster inside, Zeus wanted Lycaon to portray a monster on the outside as well. Lycaon then ran out of the castle and he started tormenting the town. And this is where this term comes from, lycanthropy. His name was Lycaon, and it was believed that he was one of the very first werewolves, or at least documented werewolves that there are in history. Similar to witches and vampires, the stories of werewolves started to spread throughout Europe and become a phenomenon. During the Middle Ages, in France alone, between 1520 and 1630, about 30,000 people were labeled as werewolves. Many of thought to be werewolves faced unimaginable torture, and some of them were even burnt at the stake, since people back then thought that burning werewolves was actually a way to kill them as well. One of the most interesting cases of this time was the case of Pierre Bourgault and Michael Verdun. Pierre was actually a farmer, and he claims that on a dark stormy night, a black hooded man came onto his property. The man told him that if he denounced God, he would then find prosperity, and that his cattle and everything he has would be absolutely protected. Pierre actually listened to this man and denounced his baptism and everything that had to do with religion in itself. It is said that days later, Michael went to Pierre's house, and when they were inside their house, he told Pierre that he had to get naked and rub some sort of oil around his body. And as soon as he did, Pierre started seeing that he was growing hair all over the place in his legs and his arms, and then he started turning into a wolf. After this happened, Michael did the same thing. He rubbed oil in his body and he turned into a werewolf. Together, these two devoured a 7-year-old boy. They killed a woman and kidnapped another one who was later to be found half-eaten and dead. Pierre and Michael were actually eventually caught, and then they confessed to their crimes and they claimed that they were werewolves and they had become werewolves, and they were then put to death. Another European man named Gilles Garnier said that he also had an ointment that he could put on his body and turn into a werewolf. He was said to also kill children and eat them. He was caught, put on trial, and then he was burned to death because of his horrible crimes. But perhaps one of the most notorious cases of lycanthropy was that of the werewolf of Bedburg in Germany. In the late 16th century, the town of Bedburg was being preyed upon by what they assumed to be a werewolf. At first, farmers found their cattle killed and mutilated. Later, women and children began to disappear. Some of them were found dead, horribly mutilated, or half-eaten, while others were simply just never found. Peter Stubb, a wealthy farmer, was actually believed to be behind these murders. The legend says that after human remains were found in the forest, hunters decided to send out their dogs after the culprit. This is where it gets really weird. So the hunters say that the dogs were in pursuit of a wolf, and they actually saw the wolf running through the forest. But then when the dogs cornered the wolf, the hunters came by and they found Peter Stubb cowering in fear from the dogs. Stubb was actually arrested, and he told authorities that he had a magic pelt that could allow him to turn into a werewolf. And of course, this pelt, it was just never found. Stubb was a deranged serial killer. He killed children, he killed women, and it is said that he even killed his firstborn child. Werewolf or not, Stubb was truly a frightening character. These murders are documented, and they sound worse than any slasher movie that I have ever seen. He was charged with witchery, rape, murder, cannibalism, incest, and livestock mutilation, and he confessed to all his crimes, and he committed them in a span of over 25 years. As time passed, it was believed that lycanthropy was actually a clinical illness that may have been caused by schizophrenia or another psychological syndrome. But what do you guys believe? Do you guys believe that werewolves are actually real? Or werewolves are only signs of an illness, some sort of psychological issue within different people, and to make them believe that they're actually werewolves? Comment down below and let me know what you guys think. And as always guys, don't forget to hit that like button to let me know that you guys like stuff like this. Don't forget to subscribe. We put videos up every Monday and every Thursday, so hit that notification bell to stay on top of all of it. And I guess I'll see you guys on the next chase.